The night began like any other. Quiet, uneventful, and ordinary enough to make people think nothing bad could ever happen at this hour. But nights like this, they have a way of twisting themselves into stories families retell for generations. Stories that begin with one wrong assumption and end with a truth no one ever sees coming. And tonight, Officer Bradley Kent was about to meet a man he should never have underestimated, and a little girl who saw far more than any adult ever realized. Because sometimes, the hero you're looking for isn't wearing a uniform, and sometimes, the most dangerous person in the room is the one you think you've already figured out. Wind pressed against the empty highway like an invisible tide, brushing across the faded white lines and the cold asphalt that stretched out endlessly in both directions. Officer Bradley Kent had been sitting in his cruiser for almost an hour, bored, irritated, and ready for his shift to be over. Kent wasn't the kind of cop people described as patient. He wasn't the type who smiled at kids or helped old women with groceries. He was the officer other officers avoided, arrogant, loud, and desperate for authority in a world that kept reminding him he didn't matter as much as he wanted to. So when the SUV rolled by with one headlight slightly dimmer than the other, Bradley Kent saw something more than a traffic issue. He saw an opportunity. He flicked on his lights, heart tightening with a strange, eager satisfaction. "Finally," he muttered. "Something." The SUV slowed, pulled to the shoulder, and came to a stop beneath the dim glow of the highway lamp. Inside sat a black man in his late 30s, calm, expression unreadable, and in the back seat, a little girl about 8 years old, fast asleep, hugging a small purple backpack. Kent smirked. "This'll be quick," he said to himself. But he had no idea, absolutely none, who he had just pulled over. Kent stepped out, adjusting his vest, straightening his belt, puffing out his chest. In his head, he rehearsed the tone officers use when they want you to know they're in control. He knocked on the window with 2 hard taps. The driver lowered it halfway. "Evening, officer," the man said calmly. There was no fear, no nervousness, just peaceful confidence. It irritated Kent immediately. "License and registration," Kent snapped, "and keep your hands where I can see them." The man didn't argue, didn't question. He simply nodded and handed them over. "Name is David Turner," the man said. "My daughter and I are heading home. Everything all right?" Kent ignored him, shining his flashlight into the back seat. The little girl stirred, eyes blinking open. She looked up at Kent with quiet confusion, then hugged her backpack tighter. Kent turned the light back to the driver. "What's in the back?" "Just my daughter's bag," Turner replied. "What's inside it?" "School things, a blanket, her inhaler." Kent narrowed his eyes. He wasn't getting the reaction he wanted. He wanted fear. He wanted trembling hands. He wanted someone who made him feel powerful. But this man, this calm, steady, quietly disciplined man, wasn't giving him anything. Kent leaned in closer. "You seem awfully calm for someone being stopped this late at night." Turner didn't blink. "I teach tactics, officer. Staying calm is part of the job." Kent paused. "What job is that?" Turner smiled politely, but there was something behind it. Not arrogance, not pride. Something deeper, something earned. Federal work, Turner said. Training and response. Kent felt something prick at the back of his neck. Federal? This guy? He looked down at the license and froze. David L. Turner, FBI, Field Operations Training Director. Kent swallowed, but quickly hardened his expression as if refusing to be intimidated. So what brings an FBI trainer to my highway at this hour? Kent said, voice sharp. Turner answered softly. My daughter had a late medical appointment. She fell asleep on the way back. We're just trying to get home. The girl yawned behind him. Daddy, are we almost home? Kent shined the light in her eyes. She flinched. Turner's jaw tightened, the first sign of irritation, but he kept perfectly still. Is there a reason you're pointing that at her? Turner asked gently. Kent felt something flicker inside him, something petty, something dangerous. Power. He lowered the flashlight. But not because Turner asked, because he had just made a decision. He wasn't letting this end easily. I'm going to need you to step out of the vehicle, Kent ordered. Turner blinked once, slowly. May I ask why? You're acting suspicious. Turner didn't react, but his daughter did. Her small voice broke, Daddy, what's happening? Turner turned to her, voice soothing. Everything's okay, sweetheart. Stay buckled. He stepped out slowly, hands visible, posture non-threatening, trained to avoid escalation. Kent studied him like prey. Turn around, Kent said. Turner complied. Hands on the vehicle. Turner complied. Kent began patting him down. Slow, deliberate, almost too thorough. Turner didn't move, but his jaw clenched again. Officer, he said calmly, I'm fully compliant. Just tell me what you're looking for. Kent leaned close, whispering near Turner's ear. Something to arrest you for. Turner closed his eyes, not in fear, in disappointment. Officer Kent, he said quietly, this isn't the road you want to take. Kent stepped back. Oh, I think it is. He reached for Turner's arm, and the little girl suddenly shouted through the window, Don't touch my dad! Kent froze. Turner turned his head, voice soft. It's okay, sweetheart. But Kent wasn't thinking anymore. Something in him snapped. Pride, insecurity, embarrassment. He grabbed Turner's wrist harder than necessary. Turner winced, the first break in his calm. And that was enough for Kent. He reached for his cuffs. Before the cuffs could close, Turner spoke. Low, firm, controlled. Officer Kent, you are detaining a federal officer without cause in front of a child after an unwarranted escalation. I'm advising you to stop. Right now. Kent's grip loosened. His palms began to sweat. Don't bluff me, Kent said, voice suddenly shaky. Turner turned slowly, controlled, and looked him in the eyes. I'm not bluffing. Kent felt something unfamiliar twist in his stomach. Fear, real fear. He stepped back, but it was too late. He had already crossed a line he wasn't trained to handle, because David Turner, The man standing calmly under the flickering highway light wasn't just an FBI agent. He was the man who trained agents how to deal with people like Bradley Kent. Arrogant officers, hot-headed cops, men who didn't know the difference between authority and abuse. And tonight, Kent had picked the wrong father. His pride flared again. He couldn't back down now. Not after that little girl yelled. Not after Turner warned him. Not after he felt afraid. He radioed in. Dispatch requesting backup for a suspicious vehicle. Driver is non-compliant. Turner's eyes widened. Officer... Kent raised a hand. Save it. Turner shifted his daughter gently, letting her hold on to him while he faced Kent head-on. His voice stayed calm, smooth, and painfully controlled. Officer Kent, he began, you escalated a routine stop into something traumatic for no justifiable reason. Kent swallowed hard, sweat forming across his forehead. Turner didn't yell. He didn't move aggressively. He simply spoke, with the quiet authority of someone who'd seen 100 officers like Kent and trained 100 more to be better. You used intimidation instead of protocol. You used force instead of inquiry. And you used your badge to feed your ego. Kent's jaw clenched. I followed procedure. Turner stepped closer, still holding Lila. No, you followed your insecurities. The backup officers looked at the ground. Turner continued. Every officer has fear. Every officer makes mistakes, but what you did tonight was intentional. Kent broke. Intentional? You think I wanted to escalate this? Turner didn't soften. I think you wanted to feel powerful. And I think you chose the wrong moment. And the wrong man. Kent's eyes darted to Lila, her small hands gripping her father's shirt. And you endangered my child. Kent blinked rapidly, words failing him. Turner's voice dropped lower, almost sad. I train officers to recognize the difference between authority and abuse. Tonight, you crossed that line. Kent inhaled shakily. So, what now? You gonna get me fired? Ruin everything I've worked for? Turner paused. The wind swept across the highway, carrying the tension with it. No, Turner said softly. Not yet. Kent looked up, surprised. Not yet? Turner nodded. Because I don't want another angry, defensive, wounded man out there in uniform. That helps no one. Not the public. Not your colleagues. Not you. Turner took a breath. What I want is very simple. Kent braced himself. I want you to learn. Kent swallowed. A choice? He asked bitterly. Turner nodded. You have two paths from here. He raised one finger. Path 1. I report this. Internal affairs gets involved. Your supervisors get involved, and your life changes permanently. Kent's stomach twisted. Turner raised a second finger. Path 2. You stay. You listen. You let me teach you, right here, on this road, what you should have done tonight. Step by step. Kent stared. You want to teach me? Now? Turner nodded once. Yes, because if this happens again to another father, to another child, the consequences may be far worse. One backup officer whispered, Brad, take the second path, please." Kent let out a long breath. His pride wanted him to walk away. His ego wanted him to argue. But the sight of the little girl shaking in Turner's arms carved right through him. Finally, he whispered, "Okay, I'm listening." Turner nodded. "Good. Then we begin." Turner set Lila gently in the SUV, leaving the door open so she wouldn't feel isolated. She hugged her backpack tightly, keeping her eyes on him. Turner stepped back toward Kent. "First lesson," he said quietly. "Approach." Kent frowned. "Approach?" Turner nodded. "You approached my vehicle as if you expected a threat. Your shoulders were tense. Your hand was already near your weapon. Your tone was hostile." Kent shifted uncomfortably. Turner continued. "A traffic stop is a conversation before it is a command. You establish tone. You establish safety. You create an environment where compliance is easier, not harder." Kent nodded reluctantly. "Second lesson. Your flashlight." Kent blinked. "My flashlight?" "You shined it into my daughter's eyes," Turner said. "That's not protocol. That's intimidation." Kent looked away. "Third lesson, communication. You escalated before you assessed. You demanded before you asked. You assumed before you observed." The backup officers nodded slightly. Kent's voice cracked. "So, what should I have done?" Turner stepped closer. "You should have done this." He spoke gently. "Good evening, sir. I noticed your right headlight is dimming. Everything all right? Any issues with the vehicle tonight?" Kent blinked. "That's it?" Turner nodded. "Yes, that alone would have changed everything." Kent let out a trembling breath. "Okay, I get it." Turner studied him. "No, you don't. Not yet." Why Turner is different. The wind slowed. Everything became quiet. Turner's voice softened. "When I was 9, I watched my father get stopped by a police officer on a quiet road just like this one." Kent slowly raised his head. Turner continued, eyes distant. "My father was a pastor, a gentleman, never raised his voice, never broke the law, but that one officer, treated him as if he was dangerous simply because of the color of his skin." Kent swallowed hard. "What happened?" Turner's voice broke slightly, the first real emotion all night. "I sat in the back seat, watching the man I admired, the man who protected me, be humiliated, and I couldn't do anything." He exhaled slowly. "That night shaped my entire career. Everything I teach, everything I train comes from that moment." Kent lowered his gaze. Turner continued. "So when you pulled me over, and I saw my daughter watching me go through the same thing." He paused, gathered himself, finished quietly. "It brought me back 30 years. Kent's eyes softened, his defenses lowered. "I didn't know." Turner nodded. "And that's the problem, Officer Kent. Too many officers don't know, and they don't ask." Kent swallowed hard. "And I made your daughter feel unsafe." Turner nodded once. "Yes, and that is something you need to make right." Kent stepped toward the SUV, slowly, carefully, as if approaching a wounded animal. Lila's eyes widened. Turner gently placed a hand on Kent's shoulder. "Speak softly," he said. Kent nodded. He approached the open door, kneeling to be at Lila's level. "Lila, I'm Officer Kent." She didn't respond. Kent's voice trembled. I'm sorry. I scared you. I scared your dad. And that wasn't right." She blinked, little hands still squeezing the backpack. Kent continued. "I shouldn't have talked to him the way I did. I shouldn't have yelled. I shouldn't have touched him like that. And I definitely shouldn't have scared you." Lila's lip trembled. Kent swallowed. "You didn't do anything wrong. Your dad didn't do anything wrong. This was my mistake. And I'm sorry." A long silence. Then Lila whispered, "Are you gonna take him away?" Kent shook his head. "No, sweetheart. I'm not taking your daddy anywhere. He's a good man. A better man than me, I think." Lila looked at Turner. Turner nodded gently. "It's okay, honey." She turned back to Kent, and for the first time, she smiled. Just a tiny one. Kent exhaled in relief. The backup officers relaxed. Turner closed the SUV door gently. For a moment, it looked like the night would finally calm down, but then a cold gust of wind swept across the asphalt, the kind that makes the hairs on your neck stand up. Turner looked toward the dark tree line. Something felt wrong, too quiet, too still. Kent noticed his expression. "What is it?" Turner didn't answer. He stared into the darkness, listening, waiting. His breath slowed, his eyes narrowed, and then he whispered, "Someone's watching us." Kent froze. "Watching us?" Turner nodded slowly. "And they've been here longer than we realized." The backup officers instinctively reached for their holsters. Turner raised a hand. Slow. No sudden movements. Kent's voice shook. "Do you see someone?" Turner didn't blink. "No, but my daughter does." Kent's blood ran cold. "What?" Turner stepped toward the SUV. Lila was staring out the window, not at them, but past them, into the trees, her eyes wide, unmoving. Turner opened the door. "Lila, what do you see?" She pointed with a trembling finger. "Daddy, there's a man in the woods." The officers tensed. Turner whispered, "It's not over."